Hello, everybody! If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. That means it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Very good. Joining us this week, as always, is my co-host, the Lord Celestant, Tom. How you doing, Tom?
Pretty good, pretty good.
I don't even know if what I just said is a real thing. I own part of that army. I don't even know. The name Celis Castilian, Castilio. Who knows? Some kind of name. I'm sure it's a thing. Also joining us this week is our very special guest, Caleb Goodson. Caleb, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm quite well. Thank you for asking, sir.
All right. Well, it's a very big week. Obviously, we're well into the Age of Sigmar now. I mean, 2 whole weeks in, and it's just the whole world has changed. Certainly, right? It's completely different. So obviously, last week, what did we have? We had this big boy come out, right? That's a nice thing. It's a heavy book. It's got some heft to it. That's what I judge the value of my books on. How do you like that? Do you like a book with some heft?
Let me just point out the humor. Go ahead, Caleb.
I said it looked like a true spider smasher.
There you go.
Let me just point out the humor from the rumor mongers and the people 3 weeks ago that were saying that we are never going to have a new book.
Well, obviously they're going to sell books.
Yeah, that was said though. Like that was a thing that was circulating.
Sure, but you know what GW likes to sell? Books.
Everything.
Terrain.
Yeah. Everything.
No.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah, I think the one thing you can always rely on is that Games Workshop wants to sell you stuff. So take no fear, people of the internet. There will be stuff to buy for a long time to come. So let's talk briefly for a moment about what's in this book. There you go. So everybody who might notice my tag of coming in from outer space. That is because this is the new home of your hero of Sigmar. There it is, right there, in all its glory. Sigmar Averheim, Sigmarheim. I don't know. It's a place where Sigmar lives. I think he lives up in this tower with the glowy ball. There it is. He lives up there.
In the Alpha Quadrant.
Yes.
Because of the twin solar flares.
Sure. Exactly. This right here is what's left of the Warhammer world. There it is. That is the core of your planet. So like Lizardmen were like down here somewhere. Like the Empire was over here, I think, basically. But this is what's left now. It's a red rock, and you got people living there. Now, of course, that's not really outer space. Really, it's that is the Lore of Heaven's world, whatever that's called. I don't know.
It's outer space. It's okay.
Sure.
It's marine.
Is that what it is? There you go. I like it. Azir.
I think it's Azerheim or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds believable. I like it. I read all the lore. I cannot internalize all these new names so quickly. So let's do some quick spoiler talk of fun things that I read in this book, because I read all the fluff already. So spoilers. Here you go. Here's a fun one. Teclis and Tyrion are back. All the greatest hits are back, by the way. Don't worry, people who are not feeling connected to the new edition. They're all back. Oh yeah, they're back. You can't keep a good high elf down. That guy will not die. He is the Jason Voorhees of the high elf spellcasting world. He's got so many sequels. He keeps coming back. So Teclis and Tyrion are back, and Teclis is like blind, and Tyrion, but he can see out of Tyrion's eyes. So they're always hanging out together. The bros are
it's the other way. Tyrion is blind, and he can see out of Teclis's eyes.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I had it the other way around. Yes.
That's awkward. What if he goes to the bathroom or something? Does he have to do it with his eyes shut?
Yeah, he's got to have Teclis lead him in there and line him up. It's no good. Yeah, it sounds cool fluff-wise until you get right down to the nitty-gritty. That's a problem.
Yeah.
I hope none of them have romantic inclinations at all, because that situation with Alariel is going to get really uncomfortable.
Hello, every queen.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, what else happened? Malekith is back, don't worry. He's called Malarian now. I don't know why. Maybe as a tribute to Malorian. I always thought that could be the case.
It could be the fact that Anarian and being his father, like something tied with an Aryan and Malekith, and the fact that Malekith is a stolen name from Marvel, which they made up, and it's not actually from Nordic mythology. It could be that too.
It could also be that. That may have something to do with it.
Yeah, it has to do something in the area.
Yes. So he's back. He's in the realm of shadow. He recoalesced. Way to go, big guy. And he met up with his mom, who, you know, they didn't part amicably. And basically, it sums it up in the best 2 sentences in this book. By the way, their reunion is 2 sentences. So I feel like we're not getting the whole story. But it's like, they met. They were suspicious. Then they decided to be okay. I mean, that is about the tone and tenor of those 2 sentences. It's like, all right, cool. Well, bygones are bygones, right?
Could you write lazier? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, could they be lazier in their writing? And I'm not sure that they could.
I suspect in this case they were keeping it brief because they want to delve into that deeper later. We're starting... I mean, the thing to keep in mind here is we're starting so far ahead of where we were. It's really crazy. Like, this current age, there were 2 previous epochs already at the age we're picking up, right? There was this Age of Myth, where it's all like Herculean and Greek and, you know, all these sort of mythological things happen. Like, here's a fun story. When Sigmar, who was roaming around on his sweet star dragon, Dracula, whatever his name is, Draconid, that guy, they're like cruising around the universe, just beating things up, basically playing Russell Crowe fighting around the world. And they run into Gork and Morka, who are Gork and Mork now together again. Because, like, they're 2 gods that keep splitting and rejoining, which is itself a wonderful mythical concept. So they run into them, and Gork Omorka bonks the Star Dragon on the head, knocks him unconscious.
Of course he does.
Of course he does. And so Sigmar and Gork, or Mork, or both, get into a fight that lasts for 12 days. They just have a punch-up for 12 solid days, and, like, they rend ravines, and that's what makes rivers, and they smash a bunch of rubble, and that's what makes a mountain. All those, that's a great mythological story. And they even talk in there like, yeah, half of this probably isn't true, but whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, so I think that's a fun Herculean type of thing, right? I can dig that.
How about those forest goblins?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of forest goblin stuff going on there. You see there's a whole big contingent of spider riders. They talk about that. That's a lot of fun. What else?
Who has a nearly complete Age of Sigmar army? This guy.
Sure. You got to rebase all of them.
I'm not rebasing anything.
Never happening.
And that's fine. I played multiple games this weekend with squares. Newsflash, it worked fine. It was a good time. It was actually quite easy. What other interesting things happened? Nagash is kind of a douche still. All his Mortarks are still alive, so yay. But Nagash, greater on Sigmar, lost the magical Star Bridge, and then got killed by Archaon, who's also back.
See, what I want to know is this: like, how does Manfred get the pass card?
Right.
Like,
how is that guy in the book?
No, like, let's think about this for a minute. Like, Manfred literally, like, just backstabs, like, not only Nagash, but the entire world. Everything gets sucked down a hole, and Nagash is like, that's cool. You know, that's water under the bridge.
Well,
maybe
now,
he forgot.
To be fair, I read the fluff. I do not think they ever mention Manfred by name. He shows up in one of, like, the art pictures where you, like, just, you know, the pictures of things.
Right.
Like, he doesn't show up, like, it just where it's, like, Nagash is standing there and Manfred's kind of in the background. They never make mention of him. They make mention of Archon, who, I mean, duh, if Nagash is alive, Archon's alive, right?
Certainly.
But they never mention Manfred, nor Vlad. So, who knows? That
makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe he is dead. Sigmar lost Galmaraz again, big dummy, in one of his campaigns. That happened, and now rumor is Zeech has it. That's fun.
Of course it is.
Yes. And we had a second apocalypse. That's what I love. So you had the Age of Chaos, the Age of Myth, crazy thing I was talking about. Age of Chaos. Chaos reinvades these new mortal realms, enslaves everybody for a couple centuries or longer, and then, except for Heavens, where Sigmar closes the gate, sits around, broods for a while, talks to Grungy, let's say. I don't know, one of the dwarf gods. They're hard to keep straight. Grungy makes him a big lightning ball and says, there you go, you can shoot your troops out into the world by that. Tyrion or Teclis and Malekith shadow their plans from Tzeentch. They labor like smithing for a century to build these super suits of armor that can contain the souls of the dead. They rip out a bunch of the greatest warriors of now and the past, and then lightning strike them into the mortal realms. And there you go. Now you're up to speed. That's called the fastest retelling of that story ever.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. So that's where we are, and I mean, it's fun. Honestly, the fluff is very fun. It's pretty cool. I like reading through it. I will repeat the same thing I did last time. It's hard to picture a day in the life of anybody in this world. Like, what does somebody's normal day in Sigmar, in Space Station Sigmar look like? Right? What are they doing?
There's certainly no farmers, right?
Well, you can't grow crops in outer space, Tom. Don't be stupid.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, is there a biodome? Maybe there's a biodome.
Maybe. But maybe they just get imports from the plane of life or something, right? I don't know. There's probably stuff there. This book does have some great art. Here's another one I wanted to show that I bookmarked just to show. This shows like the campaign on the plane of life between Nurgle and the forces of life and stuff. I mean, just look at that art. That's just the coolest way to depict a sort of plane, a landscape I've seen. I think that's great.
It's very planescapey.
It is super planescapey, yeah. But hey, there you go. So that was kind of cool. But enough of that. Let's talk about rumors, right? That's what happened. This old news. Get rid of this thing. All right. Let's talk about what's coming next. So rumors. Let's talk about rumors and news. And before we get into the rumors, I'd like to deviate with some news. Because we're not all Age of Sigmar all the time. No. This is Warhammer Weekly, and we cover all things Warhammer. So, let us begin.
Except for 40K.
Except for 40K. I've talked about 40K stuff before. We talked about those freaking Night Titans before they released them, because those were amazing.
That's true.
I'll cover cool stuff in 40K that grabs my attention, All right, so we are going to screen share here, because I am going to share with our viewers this thing. This thing right here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to share with everybody is this is the Age of Sigmar SDK. I don't know what that means, but probably means something.
System reference doc? No.
I don't know. But whatever it is, it's a point system for Age of Sigmar that these people nicely developed. I don't know who's behind this, but whoever is, they have a very nice little website here you can go to. I'll put the link in the description so you can come check it out. And what's cool about it is they tell you exactly, the points are derived mathematically, but this is no simple calculation. Here is their full calculation for what happens.
How's your algebra?
Yeah. Boy, oh boy. Fortunately, you don't have to know all this. You could just go to the point tables. And let's go ahead and... who would you like to look at?
High Elves.
Oh, well, Caleb wins. He's the guest. What did you say, Caleb?
I said High Elves, no, I said the Empire.
Oh, the Empire. Okay.
But I want to look at High Elves.
Yeah, nobody wants to look at High Elves. So here you go. There's your points list for everybody. You can see Carl Franz clocking in at 308. Oh, there you go. So that's kind of a neat thing. And what I think is cool about this, where's my standard halberd troop? 13. All right. Clearly, you're gonna have to sort of I don't know how. There you go. I don't know what the appropriate size battle is to play, but there it is. And what's neat about it is you can also look at the raw data behind it. So
if you're running troops from 13 to 300, I mean you're talking a standard Warhammer game. I mean that's scaled for.
That halberdier is more than twice expensive as he used to be. Okay,
and he's probably twice as good as he used to be.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out the number of figs on the table. Like, if 2,500 points is the correct, what does that look like? You know, that kind of thing. But it's cool. So you can actually see how they derive the costs. You can look at all the background data. So they're very open about it, very cool. They take, there's like you can contact them with feedback and stuff like that. Yeah, I thought I would turn that on. So, you can go here and follow them. And I thought this was really cool. Heck of an endeavor. Man, full credit to them. That looked like a ton of work. And, man, way to go, guys. Or girls. Pretty impressive, I think.
this is one of the neat things I think about the Age of Sigmar rules. Is to me they look like a skeleton that you can just add whatever you want onto it, and I think this is a fine example of that right here.
I couldn't agree more.
Totally.
Yeah, like it is. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's easy to make a. Oh, I should have probably locked my screen when I was showing this, but whatever. That's fine. I'll stop sharing now. That's standard me dumbness. It's easy to make a simple game complex. It is very hard to make a complex game simple, right? And I'm a huge fan of like simple, basic systems that you can then just build on, right? And you get to play in. Sort of the Minecraft concept, right? I mean, it's not. That's what Minecraft's just a bunch of blocks and simple rules. But people do amazing things in that game, and it's a lot of fun. In other non-Age of Sigmar news, the ETC just announced what they're going to do. And they are releasing, I will call it a whole new game as well. Like I believe they're calling it 9th Age or 9th Edition or 9th something. Like they got a 9 in there somewhere probably. But it is way different, and it is a big document. By way different, I mean not as different as Age of Sigmar is different. Okay, like there are still things, but they have different stats. Like they changed the names of the stats, and interactions are different. Magic is different. Totally, like yeah, they're.
Are they actually
building?
Are they going to publish out of this? Like
everything's done.
Tack on, like, do they tack on? Okay.
So I will grab a link for that ETC link and put that down there. To me, I will admit, I did not dive too deeply, but to me it felt very reminiscent of 7th edition in a lot of ways. There was a lot of echoes of 7th in there. So maybe if you were a fan of 7th edition, you would like this. So for example, like your power dice were derived from the total level of all your wizards, plus like a D3 or something. So that's very older edition. No steadfast. I think they just killed steadfast completely as a thing. So that happened. And other stuff. Check it out. I'll put in the link if people are interested in looking at that progress, community stuff. I like all this community stuff because it doesn't hurt to put it out there. In the end, the cream of the crop will rise to the top. What are your gentlemen's thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't even looked at it yet. It's like I was telling you earlier, though. I mean, I hope this works out for them. I mean, because that's a whole lot of effort to put into something that that might not even work. Plus, are they making any money off this? I mean, what are they doing this for?
No, I think it's just for the love of the game, and full credit to them for that.
Okay, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would ask the question of what are they doing, and I mean that in the most profound way.
Oh yeah.
Because the question is are they trying to preserve the game as they knew it? And the answer is clearly no.
Right.
And I mean, so what they're actually doing is they're designing a new game, which is fracturing the actual player base.
Well, I will say that if you go to that link, so I'll throw the link down there, and you may be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying they do they to their credit, they list out a nice big manifesto of sort of they have like a big PowerPoint presentation of their goals and why they're doing this. Oh, All Elves Are Dark said SDK is the Sigmar development kit. Thanks. Thank you, All Elves. I appreciate that.
Oh, nice.
I did not know what that meant. So there you go.
Yeah, that would be my question. Because at the end of the day, what is going to end up happening is that they will get some support. Like some people will follow them based on their experience at ETC, the positive experience. And so what's inevitably going to happen is that a new game is created, and the same is likely going to happen with the vast alterations that are being experienced in the Swiss comp. The new Swiss 9th redesign of new spells and everything else that way. And I just, like, there's nothing holding these communities together because, like, there's no, before, if somebody could, I mean, I guess if you mastered each of the rule sets, you could move between the new Swiss comp and you could move between Kings of War and you could move between Age of Sigmar and all those things. But it's truly creating a new game, and I don't know. I just it's curious to me. It's a very like Pathfinder-esque move that that these various groups are doing, and yeah.
Thomas, you knew that the community was going to divide. I mean, look at the way some people are acting. I mean, some of these people, their minds over this.
I did. No, I completely knew. I completely knew that the community would divide. But what I would lean into is there's a difference between grognards, or people who don't want to move into the new, okay, and like a true splintering, which is what this, like, not just this, all of the new changes that have been pitched, all of the new vast, like, developments that are going on, that are going different. Everybody's going different directions. Some will likely stay 8th. Some will go with the new Swiss development. Some will go with the new ETC development. Some will go to Age of Sigmar. I don't think at that point, like, all of the, unless people are, again, branching between systems, like, it's going to be an interesting time of sorting, is what I would say. Because as Vince said, like, the cream's going to rise to the top, obviously. And those systems that are better designed and developed are going to be played. But at the same time, in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of chaos.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because, you referenced the Pathfinder thing. And I think that there's an important difference there. So for our viewers who are aware, when Dungeons & Dragons went from 3rd edition to 4th edition, the 3rd edition of the game was printed under an open game license, and so was able to be retained by Paizo to keep publishing it. And so literally the old edition people, and 4th was a very big change from 3rd. And so they were actually able to keep printing basically 3rd, and they made what we'll call 3.75, or that's what a lot of people call it that. And we're very successful with it. Pathfinder, in the dark days of D&D 4th edition, outsold it in the market. It was the first time in as many decades that D&D wasn't the top-selling game. So that's a pretty big deal. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I had a personal experience with that. I used to own a comic book and gaming store, and my 4th ed stuff, I could not move it. Pathfinder, though, I couldn't keep it in stock. It just flew off the shelves.
There you go. Yeah, it's a rough time. When companies, when elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers, right? In this case, it's never more true than your friendly local game store, who has to ultimately be the point of contact between these massive titans and the soil of the community. So, what I would say is that this is a bigger divergence by far than what sort of Pathfinder's 3.75 was.
No, agreed. And we have multiple ones of these, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Each of them is bigger than that change, and we have multiple. With the advantage with Pathfinder is we had an obvious successor to the crown, right? Yep. It was like a war for English succession where there's no other. There's one royal, but he's kind of like atrophied, and people don't like him, and he's kind of like weird and misshapen. But he seems like he might be a good ruler, but he's all weird looking. And then there's a bastard son who's like kind of sexy, and that's it. Those are your two choices. And so everybody gets to back who they want, and then they have a civil war, and somebody comes out on top.
Well, technically there were other companies that were competing in the market. Obviously, you know that, like Castles and Crusades and stuff like that, that were all like meeting in the same space.
But
yes, there were two titans. But so that does help the analogy, but I still push back that like what we're seeing now is a fracturing, even beyond that the movement from 3rd to 4th with Pathfinder that branched out. Sure. And so I think that like it's going to be messy in the next 6 months to a year, and we'll talk about this in a later segment.
Yes, we will. So let's talk about some upcoming releases. Let's get back to that. So this week we've got the Lantern guy, Mr. Lantern and his doggy, which I'm very excited about. I love those dogs. Has everybody seen the Griffhounds?
Yes, those things look great.
The
retail on him is $40, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Let me get this right.
Yep. Go for it.
One dude and a dog is $40.
That is correct.
Okay, just checking. No, like, we're not talking like a monster dude.
No.
We're not talking like a giant.
I mean, he's
we're
pretty
talking
big.
like a man.
Yes.
With a sword.
Yes. And a light.
And a dog. And
he's got a lantern too. Yeah.
And he's got a bunch of coming out of his back.
He does. He has a swoopy cloak. How much do you value that swoopy cloak at? Because that's a pretty nice cloak.
Just checking. Hey, I just wanted to verify that that's what we're looking at. Got it.
Sure. I mean, clearly, my advice on, like, yes, it's certainly an expensive clan pack, which is what you're driving at. I have bought other figs of the same size from other companies that are in the $35 to $40 range. So, you know, whatever. It happens. If you don't want to buy it, I don't think it's an issue, because you could easily get the cheap Lord out of the standard bearer guy out of the starter box, which I bought one out of off a bit site for a few dollars. You could easily get him and just convert him with a lantern. It's not hard.
No, I hear that, but this is my pushback. Would be, what does this say to us? Does this speak of the shape of things to come?
Well, the previous clan pack guy was $30, which I think is where you're actually going to land. I think it's because you got the dog. The dog's like $10. That's what it boils down to. They looked at that and they were like, if we sold this one for $30, this guy's got a dog, $40. There you go. That was the market.
I can assure you, when that hits eBay, that dog will not be $10. Because everybody's saying exactly like you are. The dog looks awesome.
He does.
He is fabulous.
He's going to be hard to get a hold of. They should release a dog box kit. I would buy that. I'd buy a box of those dogs.
I'm calling this now. You're going to see that dog on eBay for $18.
It seems reasonable. Slightly less than half the cost. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So we got the bow guys coming then. The bow armor guys. They have the bows and the crossbows. They're bolters. I love how they included bolt in every single word that they can shoot. You know, just to really make everybody who's complaining about Space Marines be super pleased with the Space Marine comparisons. Let's just put the word bolt everywhere in all their shooting weapons. Shock bolt, celestial bolt, 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 bolt. So sure.
But that's what crossbows shoot.
They do shoot bolts, yes. So technically, the Space Marines stole it from the crossbow first, right? So there you go.
And they are storm guys. Like, that's a thing.
Are you saying that they're storm bolters?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. And then there's rumor that we're going to get a new flying kit with different weapons and new retributors, which are the big two-handed hammer guys, that there might be a kit of them with like big axes or spears or stuff, which is fine. I will say I picked up the Liberator kit. I have them behind me. It was a very nice kit. They are much more intricate than the ones that come in the starter box, so I was happy to see that. And then supposedly the storm breaks and it's chaos, just chaos for another month, with maybe a little bit of Zinch-iness in there. We've heard some rumors on Zinch, maybe even a new Lord of Change, perhaps? Now, Caleb, how do you feel about Zinch? You feel like he's been underappreciated in this entire End Time / Age of Sigmar saga?
Well, seeing as how that's my favorite Chaos God, yes! He hasn't even been there! He chucked Sigmar into the lore of heavens. That's the only thing I remember about him from the End Times. That's it. I mean,
and that happened far in the past. Like, let me point that out, that didn't happen during the End Times.
The master of plots, the master of intrigue, the guy who should be in the middle of all this is going, he's doing nothing. And Korn, the guy who foams at the mouth and just rams himself into things, he's the one getting some things done.
It says something about what tactics are successful in the Warhammer world. Brute force wins over scheming every time. I think of Zinch a lot like Apocalypse, like the bad guy out of the X-Men, who had like a 4,000-year plan to do nothing and just basically failed completely. That's what I think of Zinch. Like, careful with that.
He had the best lines in the cartoon.
He did.
I am the rock of the eternal shore. come against me and be broken. That's great.
That is pretty baller. Like, wow, that's, I gotta say, yes. I think he also had the line, like, of, I have seen more of this world than you can ever imagine, that is why I must destroy it. I believe that was also one of his.
Oh, yeah.
But yours is better. Full credit. Yours is way better.
If only Zinch could say some good things like that, instead of just as planned.
Sure. Well, he's a bird. That's his problem. Never trust a bird. That's words to live by out there in YouTube land. Don't trust birds. They want your sweet, succulent eye juices.
What, is he a crow?
Whatever. All birds want to eat eyeballs. I'm not getting picky.
Okay. I thought he was. Yeah, he is the raven god. So yeah, I guess he is a crow.
Ah, see, gotcha. All right.
Okay.
So that's kind of the shape of our releases. Obviously, we've got a lot to come. A lot more terrain rumored. Obviously, we've got some pretty baller terrain there. The big, like, sort of celestial hurricanum topper thing. I don't know what to call it, but it's the globy circular thing on top of the pillars. That thing looked pretty awesome. So I imagine we'll be getting that. I think, Tom, what was your number of terrain pieces we heard rumored? 20 pieces of terrain between now and the end of the year?
20 for Christmas. Like, from now till Christmas, 20.
That is a lot of terrain, folks. I hope everybody's got their dry brushes ready.
If you're paying attention to the art and to the pictures, you're going to see there are a lot of pieces of terrain we have not seen. And the most significant of that, in my mind, is there's an entire Sigmar fortress, and there's an entire Khorne fortress that we've seen bits and pieces of. And when they kind of zoom back, you'll see them on a large scale. And the rumor is that we're looking at like a modular style terrain, kind of like the 40K fortress, where you can like build it as you imagine it, type of thing. And that'll be kind of interesting if they go that route. That'll be kind of exciting.
Yeah, indeed. Let me pause real quick here to make a quick note before you, Caleb. Hello, Remington, and Andy Starr left a note and said, "Why can't you interact like you'd seen in another Hangout? Because they don't have Q&A on." That being said, if you leave a comment, I'll read it and I'll respond to it. So there you go. Just so you know, Andrew. Go ahead, Caleb. I'm sorry to interrupt.
So what was I saying? I don't even remember.
That's all right. That's okay. We can use that ill-timed segue to trade over into our bid here. Oh, did you have something else, Tom?
Yeah, I would say that this is worth noting. I mean, obviously we have some really good painters in the YouTubers land with PNP and but especially for newer like people painting, man, I cannot encourage you to check out the painting videos that GW is putting out for free on YouTube. I watched the the Realm Gate, like the gate painting video, and it is just a super straightforward, basic, like, in one video you learn how to do like a good, varied, natural rock look. You learn how to do a basic 3-layer technique of like a base coat, wash, dry brush, highlight. You learn how to do the ethereal, translucent, glowing power look, indirect lighting in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I watched the one on painting a couple of those dudes, and I will say, they really do. They put some nice videos out there for painting videos. They're pretty good. They kind of walk through the colors, talk about thinning the paints. They're using all Citadel stuff, but you don't have to use that. You can replace with your own materials as appropriate. The techniques are evergreen. Caleb,
I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, I remember.
How's your painting been going? Because that makes me want to transition into some hobby time, which I almost skipped. You see what you did, Tom? You made me skip it. No, but that's all right.
No, he just remembered what he was going to say.
Remember what I was going to ask.
Go for it. Go.
You think we're going to get some new siege rules with these modular terrain pieces you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think you should save that for when we talk about what's coming and what you want to see, because yes,
okay,
is my short answer. But that's a great thing to bring up. So let's talk about some hobby time. So Caleb, you had been painting some stuff. What you working on now? What's been on your table recently?
Well, I got in my starter kit, and so I've been distracted. I've been assembling my forces.
I like that.
And I just got put together.
Very
Haven't
nice.
even started coding, nothing, no undercoding, nothing. But I keep looking at these guys, and you know what I hear in my head? Well, of course you don't. I keep hearing like Optimus Prime's voice, like one shall stand, one shall fall, like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the little corn guy here, I keep hearing, why throw away your life so recklessly? Sort of like that.
Uh-huh.
And the more I think about it, the more what are the Sigmarites' names? I keep wanting to say Sigmar.
Stormcast Eternals.
The Stormcast Eternals. The Stormcast Eternals, their faces look like Cybertronians. And so when I paint them, I think I'm going to go with a Cybertron theme. I'm going to kind of cut away the symbols on the shields and draw on the Autobot symbol and give them a glow effect on the eyes and mouth, make them maybe draw on some Cybertronian runes on some of their weapons. Yeah. So that's my plan.
I support this 100,000%, and also completely respect your ability to quote some of the greatest lines from the seminal 1986 Transformers the movie, a landmark film which I own, like the special edition 25th anniversary of or whatever, and we could just spend the rest of the show quoting Transformers, and I would be perfectly pleased. But I think we'd probably lose some viewers. But yes. That's fantastic. I love it. I can't wait to see that. Tom, what about you, man? What do you do? What are you doing right now?
Right now, I am working on some of the skeletal bits and the skeletons that are going to be crawling out of Nagash's base. So, hold on. I've gotten. Preliminarily, I have Nagash done. Feel pretty good about it. So I'll have photos up on PMP hopefully within the week of not only him, but I'm gonna have a bunch of skeletons like crawling out of the sand in front of him.
Sure.
So yeah, so he's gonna be summoning and raising because that's what he does in every edition. Right off of his base, so it'll be good.
And cheating. Also cheating. Don't forget about the cheating. All the cheating.
Yeah, he was, for those of you guys, I don't know if I talked about this before, he was partially painted, and it was, brushstrokes were terrible. I didn't like some of the colors, and so basically, I kind of went back in and cleaned it up and fixed some stuff, and he was missing a bunch of bits. So I had to, order those bits and, color match those to what was on the model, and it's been an ordeal.
Well, I'm sure he looks great. He was kind of fuzzy when you held him up, but I've seen him a little bit in person, and yes, I'm sure you in the pictures you sent, I think you did a great job with him.
Thank you.
Me, myself, it has begun. That is the answer to your question on hobby time for this. So I finished up the big corn guy. Hopefully maybe people saw that. Corgus Cole or whatever, which he was fun to paint. I didn't do much with him. His doggy was cute. I like more dogs. Just everybody have dogs. Let's do that. That was my favorite thing about the Bretonnian Archer kit or whatever. They had dogs with them. So more dogs. But I have begun, speaking of Bretonnians, I have begun my conversions of my Grail Stormguard here. And so everybody knows that this is the standard this guy normally has. There you go, little dead guy there. But we can't abide that, so we had to give him this other standard. There you go. The kid's kind of washed out there, but proudly flying the Bretonnian Grail standard. So that's what he's going to look like when he's all done.
Nice.
So there you go. That is metal being held up by plastic. That is not fun, because that is not the resin cast of that.
So what's the story?
What's the story behind it?
Yes.
They're a bunch of sweet Bretonnian Grail Stormcast. That's the story behind it. They're the souls of Bretonnian people. Done. Behold my power to create narrative. Yeah, I mean, does it need more than that? It looks sweet. I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Okay, I will accept that.
There you go. All right. So now let's segue into our thing. We're going to play a game of Imagine If. And in this game, what we're going to do, yes, exactly, we're going to basically engage in rampant speculation and irresponsible rumor mongering.
Oh man, I love this. This is my
Yeah.
favorite thing to do.
Yes. So at this point, everyone should stop taking everything we say seriously, start taking it with a massive grain of salt, and come along with us on this magical voyage we're about to embark on, as we sort of doodly-doot like Wayne's World. And imagine what life will be like a year from now. Yes, exactly. So here's how we're going to split this up, gentlemen. We're going to do our best possible world and our worst possible world of the things that make those up. For the mechanics, so the rules, for the fluff, and for the actual releases we get. Okay? So, Caleb, you are the guest, which means you get the blessing/curse of starting first. We're going to start with the best possible world. So what, in your mind, gets released over the next year? What are the rules changes over the next year? And what are the fluff additions over the next year that make this game fantastic, best game ever?
All right, let's see. So mechanics-wise and rules-wise, I guess. Well, let's just keep adding onto the skeleton. Come up with different rules for different situations, different rules for different formations. Say, like for a pincer movement, as opposed to a steady block, as opposed to a ragtag pile-in. Just things that we can add to the game and to make it a little different each time, I think. That, to me, that would be neat, being a former history teacher, and so I got to study a lot about different wars and different things like that. That would just be great, you know, to combine some of that into the realm of fantasy. I would like that. As far as releases go, I want to see more big monsters. I want to see huge, ridiculous monsters stomping across the battlefield, since they can be useful now.
Yes. Absolutely. Oh man, I piloted a Necrosphinx on Saturday, and it just wrecking face, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to share that.
No. Speaking of which, you see this? You see that right there?
I do.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Full credit. Fault? No. Proud.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you painted 6 war sphinxes, and finally I had to break down and buy one.
That's all it took. If I do another 6, maybe I can get everybody else to get one too.
Let's see. So what are we on now? Now we're on mechanics releases, and then what else? Fluff?
Fluff. Yes. Where do you want to see the story go?
I want to see Teclis dead.
Not happening.
Hey, a man can dream.
Sure.
I want to see him dead. Oh, that's what I would love to see happen. And this is going to catch me some flack. I'd like to see Slaanesh gone for just a nice long while. Just a while. I was never very comfortable with him.
Oh boy, I can feel the internet rage building at that comment. People are furiously typing right now.
I know. Well, you know, got to keep with tradition.
Sure.
I tend to make people angry when I ever get on anyone's show.
Why not? That's okay. All right, I like that list. I definitely support the monsters. I cannot back you on the Slaanesh play. That's my girl right there. And shut up, it's just as much a girl as a guy. I get to choose. So I am fine with however Slaanesh self-identifies. So Tom, what is your best world?
Best world. What it was? It was rules, models,
rules, releases.
Okay, so let's go rules first. They have a so they go like 3 different directions. Okay, one is that this is so successful that they have they develop out a rule set for advancement on the small scale level, a la Mordheim. They have like a true like kind of campaign expansion of like game to game, advancing models, equipping models like that. None of that is things that we have, but something that is actually like will fit in, that's balanced and well rounded and that has true character to it, like the Mordheim rule set does. That they develop a mass army rule set, something they can tack on to really give us formations again, to give us those things that we lost in the transition of moving 800 individual models or 6 inches at a time, or whatnot. So something that gives us back formations, but for those that don't want to be in formation, still have the loose movement, which is essentially just skirmisher movement. So honestly, the best of both worlds. Super small scale advancement, large scale conflict, and then the other big one that I think would be fantastic would be for them to have some type of well-rounded tournament rule set. But I think that the current rule set is difficult for them to run a tournament with. But it would be neat to see GW just grab that whole situation by the cojones and just own it. To do tournaments and to put an online comparison stuff and have a rule set that a set of boundaries or whatever that can let people lean into that type of activity. I don't think that'll happen, but that's the best possible world for me.
Yeah, we're not talking about likelihood, just what your best world is.
Yeah, I would say for units, you know what? I think I want to see some of the stuff that we just haven't gotten flavor for. I want to see Bretonnians back on the table and riding out with new troops. I want to see Chaos Dwarves folded back in. I want to see the remnants of Kislev. I want to see the Bretonnian Undead Legions faction come rolling out with the Blood Knights at their head and Llewellyn Lacour just kicking ass and being a vampire. I want to see. I've joked about it a couple times. I want to see something with Morathi and the pleasure cults, some bleeding over between Morathi and Slaanesh stuff. Some kind of nihilistic dark elves that have really just embraced the corruption. I think that there's just so many different ways that they can go, and they just need to own the factionalism that the new stuff lends itself to. From a story standpoint, I think that we need to see something that we care about. There's no part of anything in this world that I'm attached to.
Sure.
So you need some emotional investment.
Yeah, there's no heartlands. There's no am I supposed to care about the plane of life fighting Nurgle? I guess maybe. It's just all too Planescape-y for me. I like Planescape, but Planescape got a lot of things right that this game hasn't learned yet, and so them expanding the world into something that is relatable and understandable, or how about this? Okay, we have these planar conflicts, and then suddenly a new, functionally a prime material plane that all of these planes are touching is discovered, and
sure.
And the race is on. The race is on to fortify that new place and protect it from the destruction of Chaos, as Chaos has also just found it. And so you have the Sigmarines coming in from Azirheim. You have everybody coming in from their own places trying to preserve this place or destroy this place. Some central battleground that can then branch off into the planes if you need to. That would be compelling.
So what you're saying is there's a problem in scale. Everything is so big and epic, there's just very few things that you can relate to. We need more of the, less of the grand World War II scale and more of the single soldier story so that we can actually relate on an individual level with this.
Yeah, it's Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. Like World War II is, yay, America, go, beating up Nazis is good, but it's hard to get emotionally invested in, right? I mean, it's the same sort of thing here. It's yay, Sigmar and the good guys are good, and the Chaos is the Nazis, they're bad. But, okay. But you watch Saving Private Ryan, and you're like, holy crap. You get emotionally invested in the lives of these people, and it's just a tiny, insignificant thing, right, in the span of the greater conflict, as history would write it. But it's what makes you care about the greater story.
like I cared about the burning of the Illyrian plains. You know, like the elves had a homeland that they were defending. You know, and that's a thing. But now, like on this big planar scale, like it's just hard to relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say.
Sure, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Now, if it makes you feel any better, they could be planting the seeds for eventually needing to have Space Station Sigmar leave, by the way, like that doesn't hold forever. Because
like
there's a...
Azirime?
What's that?
Azirime or whatever they're calling it?
Yeah. Because there's a big thing in there about how the core of the world, that red rock that was at the center, that is the rest of the Warhammer world, diminishes over time. It keeps getting, it shrinks. And that's the source of Sigmar's power. So eventually he's going to have to do something about that. It's like there's about a page on it, and they make it out to be a problem. So whatever, time goes by, things shrink, things get blown up. Who knows? Maybe they got to retreat to a world or something. But I would agree with you. I think that's all good stuff. All right, my best worlds. Rules. I don't think that I care if they make a tournament system, just because I think I would rather the community do it, and I think the community can probably do it better, frankly. I mean, we're going to do it anyways. I don't care what they release. We're going to do it, right? They release a set of rules. Great. 3 days later, there's like a Swedish compact for it. So why do we even bother? Like, just let somebody write it anyways. That's what's going to happen. So I mean, rules-wise, I love the Mordheim idea. What I would like to see, though, is my perfect world has real compelling rules to construct very specific forces. Like, I want to see a lot more of the formation type things that were in this new book and in the back of your PDF list. But I want to see much more of that thematically, right? Like really cool, interesting themed things that give you a specific reason to take these units. Because I think that's what keeps me interested. Me trying to build a crazy list that looks like X is awesome. That's like you feel like you're building towards something. And especially given the size of armies now, it's not unreasonable to then tie into my best possible world for that, which is the model releases mimic those sorts of formation releases, right? Where you kind of have these books, these conflicts, these things. There's new formations on both sides, and the models that come out support them. So we can get new, unusual releases. Because I think the reality is we don't need, we probably don't need a lot of, Lizardmen or High Elves or Dark Elves or stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying none. I would love to see some of it. But we don't need much. Like, there's a million billion kits out there, right? And most of them will probably stick around for some time to come. So just give us a cool few splashy models for them, and then do some new stuff. That would be my world. Like, I've got plenty of old stuff. Show me something new. And then finally, fluff. I want to see... I understand, okay, that the tagline of this is like mighty battles in an age of unending war. Okay, I got it. Check on that. And that's fine. Please don't do that forever. The worst thing about this, in my mind, my worst fluff fear, is that we've now mimicked the 40K thing of, in the grim darkness of the far future, there can be only war. Right? Ugh. Ugh. Like, it's just disgusting. You cannot find that compelling. War is only notable by the fact that there is peace. So it goes to, everything the two of you have said. But I want to see other things go on. I'd like to see, good guys beat back chaos for a time. Have there be times of peace. I'm glad they gave us one in the book. There was this Age of Myth, which really was pretty peaceful. I don't know how many millennia that went on, but that's cool. I mean, I get it, that's not as compelling, but with these ongoing narrative campaign events, you can have a short time of peace over a span, do some smaller scale things that are related to that, and then boom, blow it up with a big thing again, right? If a song is just a constant note of like, that's not a song. Right? Songs have to have notes. There has to be breaks.
Plus, it's not believable.
Right.
War takes a tremendous strain on resources. I mean, you can only maintain it for so long.
Right.
Constant, unending warfare leads to it leads to destruction and exhaustion.
Right.
You have to have some times of peace to build back up.
Exactly. And it's not that we can't tell interesting stories and skirmishes and stuff like that. You know, I mean, there's plenty to still tell and do in that time period. I'm not saying there's no fights. You know, the Pax Romana was, 200 years of peace in the Mediterranean. That wasn't true if you were, say, like, a British Celt or Gaul or Germanic, right? That wasn't a peaceful time for you.
No.
But we still think of it as peaceful, in retrospect, right? So my point being, I'd love to see some highs and lows in this fluff. Please don't just make it Battle Eternal. That's boring and awful, and I hate that. Don't do it. All right. So now let us turn to the dark side. Give in to your anger, your hate, your fear, which leads to suffering. I don't really know. That thing from Yoda was way too complicated to follow. At any rate, let's talk about the worst possible world. Dun, dun, dun. Caleb, once again, you could start us off. Same story. Rules, releases, fluff.
Okay, worst possible world. All right. They release rules that just make your figures unplayable. I mean, to me, 8 had a lot of strengths, and it was a lot of fun, but there were some units, they just weren't playable. You could not play them. They were a waste of points, a waste of time, and they just weren't fun. To me, repeating that would be a huge mistake. I mean, especially at how expensive the kits are becoming now. I mean, if I spend $40, $50 for a unit, I want to have fun with that unit. I don't want to go, oh, hey, all that time and effort and money you spent on putting this together, hey, guess what? Dead. One turn, one shot, gone.
I like that. Completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, that would be the worst as far as rules go. Releases, they're kind of striking a pretty good balance right now with the way the models look. If they go to sci-fi, 240K, I will not be very happy with that at all. Not at all. I think you've gone far enough, GW. No further. Okay? No more. And what's the last one? Fluff?
Fluff, yeah.
They focus on the elves. If they focus on the elves too much, I will not be happy. I know there are a lot of elf fans, and I know people love elves. I don't know why. To me, they're an entire race of people who just think they're better than you, and then they are better than you.
Yeah, I think it's the people who think they're better than everybody else really like elves. Tom, you like elves, right?
I'm a huge fan of elves. All of them. I have everything.
Everything. Yes. I'm down with that.
Thomas, I judge you.
Nah, that's right. Judgment.
I accept your judgment.
Well, Caleb, it may make you happy to know that as of right now, the elves are missing. Like, there are elves in Azerheim or whatever, like from the ones that Sigmar had sort of wrenched in and kept safe. Because, like, Azerheim is a metropolis of all the different races mixing. Which, by the way, if we could get some cool stuff in Azerheim, I would totally accept that as a fun city. Because, one other small note, I had the most hope for Azerheim being interesting when I heard that even when heavens were sealed off, the gates are closed, chaos cannot get in, like the clan Eschen Skaven were still able to sneak in. How did they do it? Nobody knows. Because they're rats. They get everywhere. So, and they have all the races there. I would buy an Azerheim book that just made it like, that just built it out and was like Space Station Azerheim, baby. And just the crazy day-to-day life of the people who live in this weird fire rock half-moon base. Just, and actually give like a normal life on them and have little intrigue. I think that would be cool.
As a side note, talking about like hope for Azerheim, in one of the art pieces, if you look closely, there is a phoenix flying in Azerheim that is both fire and frost.
Yeah, looking for that Rime Fire Phoenix kit. Coming out fresh February 2019. So right around the corner. It's a race whether like the last Marvel Cinematic Universe movie will be here before that Rime Fire Phoenix.
You can make one now.
Sure. Caleb, I like that list very much, and I got to agree. Clearly they're setting it up to do some kind of arc with the Return of the Elves, which I'm fine with, and as long as that's all we get, I'm good with that. Like if they have a sort of comeback story, right, where we figure out where they've been hiding, I'm okay with that, and that's a thing.
Yeah, except nobody cares and no one's looking for them. They're just happy they're gone. Finally, I don't have to listen to how much better you are than me.
All right, Tom. Let's turn to somebody who's looking for those elves. What's your worst case?
Honestly, I think the worst case is that. Let me just preface it with a broader thing, which is that this whole thing tanks, okay, and that GW goes into emergency mode, okay, and they're looking at like, oh no, we just changed the statue up front. Like, how do we salvage this? Because it's not going to work. And so worst case scenario is that they try to salvage what they have and merge it with what they already have. And so somehow they try to bridge the gap between this and 40K. I think that is the like, if I were sitting in this chair and I have just now put a statue out front of our building of a product that fails horribly, it seems like trying to salvage it and salvage the models and the image in some way is the only way to go. And so my worst fear would be that they're like, well, we're already halfway to 40K. Let's just go the rest of the way. And to me, that would be a travesty for everybody on all sides of the game.
Okay, fair enough.
And obviously, the models and the rules and all the other bullshit that spins out from that.
Yes. All right. So, what else you got as far as, you're saying that's it, that's your whole thing, like just that being the train wreck, that's your worst case, because that would impact fluff releases, everything.
Well, yeah. So, for example, like, so to bring these two into connection, what they would probably have to do would be to release, if they are happy with how a lot of Age of Sigmar is playing, and they blame it on the fluff, them messing up 40K by creating the Age of Sigmar rule set for 40K to make them compatible. Like suddenly you're in just in a messy universe, because moving forward, right, like they could either make rules for what they have that would now be compatible with the 40K rule set. But if I'm a company and you're moving forward in a development process, the more likely thing is to use the newer rule set and bring the older product into the newer world. And then they would potentially mess up both rule sets that way.
Sure.
And then products would be like the unified Eldar that come rolling back in. So they have like laser swords and a whole bunch of other BS because they're the Eldar pre-fall that rebirths Slanesh from their decadence. So what ends up happening is this truly becomes like 20K or something that then kind of like just launches then in. The steam heads come marching in their preliminary power armor suits. And it's just terrible. It's all kinds of terrible design.
Sure. That is a horrific, apocalyptic picture you have painted. I see fields aflame. Yes, absolutely.
You're draining my soul, buddy. Don't.
Yeah. I told you this was going to get dark.
Like, how terrible would that be? Like, it would be so bad for everyone.
Ugh.
All right. My worst case. It's going to be hard to add to what both of you gentlemen have said. So my worst case situations will be my worst world will be simple. Not that it dies with a bang, but with a whimper. That basically we just don't get as much delivery as we were promised, right? That they just kind of trot out a couple releases slowly. We don't get anything really interesting, and this covers everything. That we don't get to see them offer additional rules or supplements or campaigns or scenarios or things like that, or as much as we would want. You know, like we get one other campaign book or something between now and next year. Yeah. Yeah, just like I've got that one, and that one's cool. The scenarios in there are pretty awesome. They let you do fun stuff. They're usable by any army. Thumbs up. This is good stuff. But, you know, if we get like one more of those before next year at this time, that's a letdown. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to need to see more. Yep. So I think, and that kind of non-release, non-action with the game, I think would kill it faster than anything. Right? It doesn't go out like you're talking about, where they go into sort of, you know, OSH mode and just start like doing crazy things, but that they just let it die on the vine and atrophy. Now, I don't know why they would do that. That's not generally how they operate, but that would be my worst case. We're not talking likelihood, we're talking my worst case. Because then what you have is just nothing, right? Because then if there was some big shock to the system, 20K happens, you knock a ton of people out, and it's an off-ramp, right? You can say, like, okay, that's it. You done gone too far this time, G-dubs. I'm out, right? Just like people did right now. And that's fine. This is a point. It's a fracture. And beyond this, people will come in, community rebuilds, we get past this little bump in the road, and we're okay. But if it's the slow death, the slow death is worse, right? Because there's no sudden jolt of interest, no people joining. It's all just the dark road of perdition. That's all it is. All right. So now we've painted a horribly dark picture for everyone. Let us admit, all of us now to ourselves, that probably what we'll get is neither of these worlds, right? I think we can all accept that probably neither of these things will come to pass, right? None of what we've talked about would actually come to pass. What we will probably get is something in between. Does that sound right to everybody else?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But I, for one, hope that what we do end up with is pretty sweet, and so I look forward to that. So now, as we close up our show here, we got a few minutes left. Let's talk about some comments. Who wants to see some questions and comments? So, sure. All Elves Are Dark pointed out that the Gryph-hounds unit does say that a unit of Gryph-hounds can have any number of models. So, like, you know, they've almost got to put out a box of it at some point, right? Because otherwise, how do you have a unit of them buying $40 clan packs and just harvesting the one guy? So yeah. Lord Cypress says that people are he's picking up some great deals on Warhammer Fantasy on eBay for dirt cheap. Yep, I do know.
Preaching to the choir.
Yes. Absolutely. I've acquired maybe 3 armies recently at pretty cheap prices. So people, don't sell your army right now. That's silly. It's craziness. What are you doing?
Yeah,
We're at the bottom of the market right now, I promise you.
Basic supply and demand. The more on the market, the more the price is going to do this number.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to point out, though, that actually army books, as a side note, have actually went up in value.
Yeah.
And that most army books are selling between $25 and $35 right now, very regularly.
Yeah, what
where
you
they
need
were
to
sub
do
20.
Is sit on your army until the kits that their army contains go out of print, which will happen at some point. Then that's money in the bank, because that's what happened with the books. The books are out of print.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And got
pulled there you go. Matthew said stat damage keyword system is actually what that SDK was. Oh, you lied to us, all elves are dark. But that's okay. I like both of them. Let's say both. Go ahead.
I was going to say that... I don't remember what I was going to say.
That's fine. I'm sure it wasn't that important. I mean, when has it ever been? You know.
Oh, exactly.
All right. Let's see. What else we got? Zamek which is sharing some Arrakis fun. I agree. I do like to think of myself as a mentat. I've often thought of myself as an emotionless computer. And it's nicer that way. Let's see. And now we come to a very fun question that Mr. Kieran left. And I want to... this very much ties into our Imagine If. So Kieran asked the question, can we expect a series of starter boxes, much like 40K has done recently? If so, speculate on some likely pairings. All right. So Tom, I know this has been your theory for a while, that the Age of Sigmar box is going to become a repeated thing. I agree. 40K tells us that's going to be a thing. These things are money makers for them, and they get people interested in the hobby. They're an awesome on-ramp. So we're going to go around the horn, and we're going to talk about what pairings we would love to see in a starter box. Do not limit yourself to existing armies or races or anything. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. All right. So Caleb, guess what? You're the guest. That means hot seat time, buddy. You're first. What do you want to see?
I want to see Sylvanny, the tree people, and Nurgle. I love the Tree Man kit, and I want to see some new Treekin, which I probably won't get to see. Some new Dryads, branches and weird thorn weapons growing out, maybe some kind of rose vine whip, and just all kinds of crazy natural growing plant people. Just, I mean, I helped a Kickstarter called Fight and Fun Guy just so I could have some mushroom men in my army.
Nice.
I've got.
Yeah. Would you like to see the Sylvaneth expand? Right. I mean, you're familiar with D&D, right? So shambling mounds and stuff like that. We could have that kind of thing.
Yes, I would love that. And then Nurgle, they're a natural enemy. They would look very good as opposed. You have life that helps and life that harms. So it would be a very, very dynamic. I would end up selling all my Nurgle models because I can't stand Nurgle, but I just think that the dynamic would be good.
Thumbs up on that. Boo Nurgle. Sorry to the Nurgle fans out there, but Tzeentch may be a stupid bird, and he is. But Nurgle is just gross. Like that is, I can't abide a Nurgle model. I can't do it. For all of you out there who do, more power to you. But I can't do it.
Hey, I come from a medical family. I know what causes that. Ugh.
Yeah, gross. Gross. All right. I like it. And obviously that is referenced in the book as being one of the conflicts that's just now kind of ramping up. So that could be the next campaign. You may have a very likely win there. All right, Tommy, what about you, sir? What's your pairing?
Absolutely. I think that this one is going to be. I have two pairings. This one is going to be another natural. What I feel like it's a natural pairing, and that is the elves with Tzeentch, because they thought their plan was unnoticed, and so their surprise attack is countered by Tzeentch, the master manipulator and planner, who already has his forces in place to counter respond to the elven strike, the elves striking out.
Okay.
And so it would be a super high magic expansion, because obviously like you have both like magic being like a big push on both sides, and so I think it would just be a really compelling, interesting, nasty fight. The other one that I think would outsell...
Real quick, it'd be another box set that Caleb could sell half of.
Clearly.
Got me excited about elves. How could you have done this to me?
You're welcome.
Why?
And then the more compelling box set that I think would sell more boxes than any other, probably all the other boxes combined, would be the box set where Nagash, with his long memory, has decided to exterminate the Skaven for what they did to the Black Pyramid.
All right.
Oh.
And so he launches his campaign to flood the tunnels and to seek out the Skaven in every realm. And
that's the current fight going on. That's who's in the realm of death fighting Nagash right now. Is the Skaven?
Is it really?
Yep.
Like I don't have the book, so that's really funny. But I think a Skaven undead box where Nagash is on full offensive to pay back the slight of the Black Pyramid is I think that would be a super compelling story.
Well, again, that is being set up because yeah, the realm of death is being invaded by the endless Skaven horde and fighting against the ever resurrecting undead headed by Nagash. Yeah.
Interesting. So, boom.
There you go. You didn't even know you were sort of calling something that's already happened. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Here's mine. Okay. I want to see the box set of Giants versus Elementals. That's right. So one half of this box set is the Gargan army, because that's like a new race, or Ale Guzzlers and stuff like that, Giants. The Giant side comes with, like, let's say 5 or 6 Giants. I don't know, whatever's reasonable. And that's it. Just big Giants in different poses, awesome Giants. Giant. I would accept this kit being more expensive, by the way, if it had literally had 6 Giants in. And the other half of the kit is sweet elementals from the various realms fighting against these giant things. I'll go back to Kieran's this was Kieran's answer on the first episode of War Games, that he liked the idea of like elementals from the different lores of Magic. I totally love the idea, and I think it's super sexy, and I think it's totally in line with fantasy. I mean, what is more fantastical in D&D and all that stuff than elementals, right? Who doesn't love elementals?
This just sounds awesome.
And so you have like big things, that have like fire monsters, and they could be like in armor and stuff too. Like I'm okay with like some rock dudes in armor, so you still got like some humany guys, but some could just be like giant whirlwinds, just angry tornadoes, and they're going up against giants.
So the entire fight is like 12 creatures, like 6 big giants and like 6 big elementals.
No, it'd be like one big whirlwind elemental. You'd have a bunch of rock dude infantry. Right, you'd have like some water, like monster type cab-sized things, roaming around on big waves. Maybe you could have a dude surfing on them. I wouldn't put opposed to that. That's probably not good, but I would support it. I would convert it to do that. And then like some fire monsters. I don't know, big fire elementals would be sexy. Like big large.
The Kadai.
Like ogre-sized fire elementals. Not
which
not
is
that.
what. No, I mean they're on cherry bases, 50 by 75. The Kadai Fireborn.
Oh sure, yeah.
From Forge World.
Yeah, I would.
And they have big armor and they're pillars of flame.
Yes, like that. More of that. That would be amazing. I would also accept other types of elements, like elementals from the other planes, like of life and death and stuff like that. Heavens, star monsters, and the shambling mound thing again. I don't want to rob from the Sylvaneth Force too much, but that kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. I think that would be sexy. It'd be weird. It'd be unlike anything that's ever been done. It would be deep into the releases. This isn't like a let's do this early on box set, but I think that would be fantastic. The forces of nature themselves rebel up against these invading giant creatures that just destroy everything in their wake and screw nature up.
And they would be copying Mantic again, because that's in Mantic's new army is forces of nature.
Yeah,
which is elementals. Like, I just want to I want to throw that one out there.
Magic's new nature army is fish people. I really like, yeah, sure. I mean, there's
and salamanders, and rock people, and tree people.
Yeah, I'll give you the rock people. I'm not bagging it. The army's fine.
And tree people.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, sure. It's fine. I am okay with that. Good ideas are borrowed, great ideas are stolen. That's how that works. And I think an elemental army is a great idea. So steal away, G-dubs. Let's do it. Mantic's built a whole business on stealing from you. I see no reason why you can't borrow something back. And that's said from a person who's bought a lot of Mantic models and loves them as a company. I mean that with all due love. That's why not. It's a great way to be successful. So there we go. Closing thoughts, gentlemen. Anything else before we head out for the evening?
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out. so far I'm happy, and I hope it stays positive. Yeah.
I like it. Well, I would certainly agree. Keep tuned in. We're gonna keep talking about everything Warhammer. Well, all the new splinters and shards and additions and attempts and creations and rules, and I say keep it all coming. I think this level of community engagement is fantastic because the reality is that even people making stuff for this other stuff, they're staying engaged in the community. They're sharing it. I don't think you actually are fracturing the community when you're doing this stuff. Yes, you might be fracturing tournaments, but I'm still engaging with those people, talking to them on Twitter, reading their stuff, providing feedback. That's not a fractured community. That's not a dead community, right? We're all engaged. We're all thinking. We're writing stuff. Man, what's wrong with that? I love seeing this level of creativity from the community, and I can't think of the last time I've seen it at this level. So to me, that seems like a really great thing. So keep up out there. All you people who are making stuff and designing stuff and proposing rules, thumbs up to me. Tweet at us. If you make a compact, send it at Warhammer Weekly. That's where you can follow us on Twitter, at Warhammer Weekly. I would love to read over all of it. I think it's fantastic. So, from all of us, thank you very much. Caleb, thank you again, sir. It was wonderful to have you on the show. You are welcome back.
Thanks, sir.
Anytime.
Happy to come.
Absolutely. Tom, thanks again, sir. I'm glad we managed to partially distract you from painting skeletons for half a night. Bringing your A game at a C level. That's what I like to see. Other than that, for all of you out there, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday.